Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. This time of year is super busy for a lot of people. We've got several different holidays, graduations, baby showers, bridal showers, get-togethers, family reunions, parties, just all kinds of opportunities that bring us together. And when we come together, my family loves party foods, appetizers, snack foods, finger foods, whatever you want to call it. These are some of our family's absolute favorite recipes, so I'm going to share those with you today. I'm going to start out by making a spinach dip. Now, this is a cold spinach dip, but it is so good. Now, I've made this for years and years. This is one of our family favorites. We all love this. It's so good. It's super easy. In this bowl, I'm adding in my mayonnaise. Then I'm going to add in the sour cream. And a quick note, I'll have this recipe as well as the recipe for the little smokies and the other things I'm making today linked in the description box below. Next, I'm adding some Hidden Valley Ranch dressing mix. I like to add this or the Knorr vegetable dip mix, but that can be a little hard to find, so I just add whatever I can find. If I can't find the Knorr, I don't stress, I just use the ranch. Now I'm adding some chopped green onions. Then I'm going to add my spinach. This is frozen. It's been thawed completely, and then I've drained it really well. You really want to take your time and get as much of the water out as you possibly can. Now I'm taking some water chestnuts. I drained them really well and chopped them up. I'm going to add that to the bowl and then stir everything together until it's really well combined. Now you can serve this dip just like this with some crackers or chips or vegetables. We like to use one of these King's Hawaiian round bread bowls. I just take a paring knife, cut the inside of the bread to make a little bread bowl, and then I take that bread and cut it up to serve along with it. And then normally we have some extra Hawaiian rolls that I'll cut into pieces. Here's the finished bread bowl. Like I said, this is so yummy. If you've never tried this before, I recommend you all give it a try. It's delicious. Next up, I'm making sausage balls. Now, I know most of you probably know how to make sausage balls. You probably already have a recipe that you love, but I wanted to share with you how I like to make them because I have just a couple small little tweaks that I make to a basic recipe. Not big changes, just a couple small little things. And everyone who has tried my sausage balls loves them. So let me show you how I make them. To this bowl, I'm adding in a pound of breakfast sausage. I'm just using mild. You can use hot, use your favorite brand. To that, I'm going to add in my Bisquick. Now, here's one of the small differences for my recipe. Most recipe calls for 2 cups of Bisquick. I only use 1.5 cups. I personally feel like if you use the full 2 cups of Bisquick, they're a little on the dry side. So like I said, I like to cut that back and just use 1.5 cups. Next, I'm adding in my shredded cheddar cheese. And then here is the other small tweak that I make to the recipe. I add in about 3 or 4 tablespoons of cold water. I make sure that it's cold because you've got the fat from the breakfast sausage, and so I just prefer to use cold water. This just kind of helps it come together a little bit and adds just a little bit of moisture. And then I like to mix these with my hands. You can use a spoon or a spatula if you'd like, but I just feel like I can mix it together a lot better with my hands. So I mix it until it's really well combined, and then I just shape them into little balls. I just roll them in my hands, and I'm going to put them onto a greased cookie sheet. And then these are going to go into a preheated 350-degree oven, and they'll bake for about 25 to 30 minutes. How long you bake them really just kind of depends on how big you make your sausage balls. Here are the finished sausage balls. Like I said, they are so delicious. I encourage you to give these a try. If you have your own recipe, add a little bit of cold water, cut back a little bit on the Bisquick, and see if you notice a difference. Next, I'm making what I call my ranch chip dip. This isn't a completely unique recipe to me. I basically took existing recipes that I've seen for a loaded baked potato dip, and I made just a little change to it to kind of make it my own. And do that, with recipes, make it your own and use what you like. And that's how I came up with this, and we love this. I've made this so many times over the years. I've taken it to work potlucks, church potlucks. I've served it at get-togethers. It's just yummy, and it's really easy. It is a crowd pleaser. Let me show you what I'm going to use to make it. All right, I've got some sour cream, some crumbled bacon. You can, of course, cook up your own bacon and crumble it. I'm just using this crumbled bacon from Sam's Club. You'll need some shredded cheddar cheese, some green onions that we're going to chop up, and then for my little twist, so years and years ago when I first made this, I had a packet of this ranch dips, the Fiesta kind, on hand, and I wanted to use it up. So I decided to add that to this dip. And it was really good, but these little dips are pretty salty. So what I've kind of tweaked over the years is I use a half a packet of the Fiesta dip mix, and then I basically use a half a packet's worth of just dry ranch Hidden Valley dressing mix. You could use the whole Fiesta packet if you prefer. Just for my personal taste, it's a little bit salty, but you do you. If you want to use the whole packet of Fiesta dip, you go for it. All right, let me show you how to put this together real quick. So in my bowl, I'm going to add in my sour cream. I just add this 16-ounce sour cream for, like I said, get-togethers and stuff like that at our house. If you're making this for a big potluck, you can easily double or triple this recipe. Next, I'm going to add in the Fiesta mix as well as the dry ranch dressing mix. And if you don't have the Fiesta mix on hand, or if you can't find it, you could just use all dry ranch dressing mix and add in a little bit of taco seasoning, and it tastes pretty much the same as the little Fiesta seasoning packet. Next, I'm going to add in the cheese and bacon and scallions. And to be honest with you, I've made this so many times that I just eyeball it. I use how much ever cheese and bacon and green onions I feel like using that day. But I'll have the exact measurements typed out down below if you would prefer to have exact measurements. So once I add that, I'm going to stir it until it's combined really well, and then that's it. Like with the cucumber jalapeno dip, you of course can serve this right away. I suggest putting it into the refrigerator for a couple hours before you serve it, just to let the flavors come together. To serve this up, I like to use the wavy potato chips. You could use corn chips, crackers, whatever you like. And then before I serve it though, I do like to add just a little bit of cheese and bacon on top as a little garnish. You don't have to do that. This is so incredibly delicious. And a quick note, you can use Greek yogurt. If you don't have sour cream or prefer to use Greek yogurt, you can totally use the Greek yogurt. I've done that before and it is delicious. I'm making a veggie crescent pizza. I have the recipe linked down below. This is one of my favorites. I absolutely love, love, love this. And I am ashamed at how much of this I can eat. This is really easy. So first what we're going to do is spray a baking sheet, and then I'm going to lay down a layer of crescent rolls. Now I did have the recipe because it was just my husband and I this day, but the full recipe calls for 2 rolls. And then all we're going to do is bake the crescent roll dough according to the package instructions and allow it to cool completely. And a quick note before we move on, if you noticed, I used a can of the Crescent sheet just to make it easier. But if you're using just regular crescent roll dough, just make sure you pinch the seams together really well. Now for the quote-unquote sauce for our pizza, we're going to use some softened cream cheese, sour cream, and dry ranch dressing mix. And I have made this before where I have substituted a non-fat Greek yogurt for the sour cream. So once I've added all those ingredients to a bowl, I'm going to stir them until they're combined really well. Now you can pull out a hand mixer or stand mixer for this if you'd like to get it super smooth, but I just use a spatula. It works just fine. Once that's combined, I'm going to spread that out over my crust, and next we'll add the toppings. For the veggie toppings, here is what I like to use. Use whatever you like or your family likes or whatever you've got on hand. So I've got some diced cucumber, carrots, tomato, broccoli, and then some shredded cheddar cheese. You could also do like green onions, bell pepper, zucchini, like I said, whatever you like. I'm going to sprinkle the vegetables and cheese over the pizza, and then I like to take my fingertips and just kind of press everything down into the cream cheese so it doesn't fall off as much. We're going to cut that into squares, and that's it. It's ready to serve. Like I said, this is so delicious. I love this. This is great for football food, but it's also great just for game night, or if you're doing appetizers, or just for dinner. You could make this along with a side and you are good to go. It's a great way to get your kiddos to eat vegetables. And I will say though that the longer this sits in the refrigerator, the softer your crescent roll dough is going to get. Of course, you're going to have, the moisture from the cream cheese and the vegetables kind of seep into that. So, you can eat this right away or within a few hours. Of course, you can eat it the next day. Just be mindful of that. Your crescent rolls are going to be a little bit soft on you. But I hope you all give this recipe a try if you've never tried it before. It's delicious. Finally, I tried a new recipe for jalapeno popper dip. Now, I looked at a couple different recipes and kind of combined a few things, but I will link the recipe that I really took inspiration from down in the description box below. Did just make a couple changes to that. Here are the ingredients that we're going to use. I've got some cooked and crumbled bacon. I'm just using this bag from Sam's Club. You could, of course, cook up your own bacon or just leave the bacon out. I've got some softened cream cheese, fresh jalapenos that I'm going to seed and dice finely. You could also use canned jalapenos if you'd prefer to do that. Some of the recipes I saw called for mayonnaise, some called for sour cream, so I decided to just do a little bit of both. So I've got mayonnaise and sour cream, some shredded cheddar cheese, some shredded mozzarella cheese. For seasonings, I'm going to use some onion powder, garlic powder, and some dry ranch dressing mix. And then for the top of our dip, the topping rather of the dip, we're going to use some grated Parmesan cheese, butter, and then Ritz crackers. I happen to have some Townhouse crackers that I want to use up, so I'm going to use those. I've got my oven preheating to 350 degrees. To my bowl, I'm going to add in the cream cheese and then the other ingredients. And a quick tip, if you forget to set your cream cheese out, or if you've set it out and it's still not as soft as what you want it to be, you can remove the cream cheese from the foil packet, pop it in a bowl into the microwave on defrost, and just cook it. You don't need to cook it very long at all. Just maybe, depending on how soft it is, maybe 15 to 30 seconds, and then just, kind of check on it. And it'll soften right up for you. Now, for the seasonings, like I said, I'm using garlic powder, onion powder, some dry ranch dressing mix. You'll see me here in just a few minutes. I decided to add in some smoked paprika. I normally add that when I'm making jalapeno poppers, and I thought that would be good. So just season it to taste. I'm going to stir all of that until it's combined really well, and then we are going to place that into a greased baking dish. I have the recipe and it fit into a pie plate perfectly. Now, with this jalapeno popper dip, this was delicious. My husband and I absolutely loved this. We love jalapeno poppers, but sometimes it can kind of be a bit of a pain to make, especially if you're making it for a crowd, to sit and fill all the peppers and wrap them and stuff them and, all that. So this was delicious. Highly recommend if you like jalapeno poppers. Once I've got the dip part spread out into my pie plate, I'm going to work on the topping. So to this bowl, I'm going to add in my Parmesan cheese, the crushed crackers, the melted butter, and give that a stir. Once that's done, I'm going to sprinkle the cracker mixture over the dip, spread that out, and then this is going to go into the preheated oven and bake for about 20 to 30 minutes until it is bubbly and the crackers are golden brown. This is what it looked like when it came out of the oven. I did allow it to sit for about 5 minutes before I served it up. And you can eat this with crackers, chips, tortilla chips, or veggies. This is yummy. Next, I'm making ham pinwheels. This is definitely a favorite. We have made this for years and years in my family. So you really only need 2 ingredients. I'm going to take some of this chive and onion cream cheese, and then you will need some ham. I try to get the ham that is in a rectangle shape, but you can use any ham. The rectangles just make it easier to roll up. To make the pinwheels, I'm going to take a paper towel and place it on my counter. I'm then going to take a slice of the ham, place that on the paper towel, and then take another paper towel and just lightly pat it just to get some of the moisture off. I'm then going to take some of this cream cheese and spread a thin layer onto the ham. If you don't have the chive and onion cream cheese, you can just use regular cream cheese and add some chives, or you can just leave the chives off if you don't prefer onions. I'm then going to roll up the pinwheel, place that on a paper plate, and then keep rolling. I'm then going to cover this with some plastic wrap and put this into the fridge for about 2 hours. Next, I'm going to remove those from the refrigerator, slice them into pinwheels, and place them onto my serving dish. And here are the finished pinwheels. I really like these. They're just bite-sized little appetizers. They're quick and easy to put together and just a couple of ingredients. Next, I'm going to make another one of our family's favorites. These are bacon crackers. These are so easy to put together. You only need 3 ingredients. So here is what you will need. You'll need some bacon. You'll need some club crackers. And then you'll need some Parmesan cheese. And that's it. To get started, I'm going to cut my bacon in half, and then all I'm going to do is take one of the halves of bacon and wrap them around the cracker, and then place the cracker on a cookie sheet. And then I'm going to repeat that until I've either used up my crackers or used up my bacon. If you've never had these before, you may think that this sounds a little bit weird, but trust me, these are addictive. They are so good. So next I'm going to sprinkle on a little Parmesan cheese. The recipe does say to add the Parmesan cheese directly to the cracker and then to put the bacon on top, but I don't have the patience for that, so I just sprinkle the cheese on top. I'm going to cook these at 250 degrees for about 2 hours until the bacon is nice and crispy. And here are the finished crackers. These are good warm out of the oven, or they're just as delicious at room temperature. And that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and you will give one or all of these recipes a try. If you did enjoy this video, hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.